Hey everybody, I am back for the second part of our spreadsheet check-in. In this video, we are going to talk about the steps that we were used to explore the data. And so part one, we finished in the previous video. I'll link that here so you can go back to that if you missed any of the steps or if you weren't able to complete anything, or if halfway through in this video you noticed something was skipped, you can go back and update that. But because we're not working on any of this should all be done. You should all be caught up here. I'm going to delete this and save us some room. There we go. So here is our part two. In part two, we want to calculate some probabilities here. So we're going to use Google Sheets to calculate some probabilities of some different things. So for those that didn't watch the last one, we have this database of movies, and it is just basically like a list of movies, their ratings, how many votes, etc. And so what I want to do is I'm going to make a sub playlist. And so you can see here, one of the things we're going to do is calculate the probability of each genre in our total data. And then we're basically going to work through and create a playlist of 20 songs and then calculate the probability of each genre in the playlist. Okay, so let's get right to it. I think most people are updated and where we need to be. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll over here to the side over here. I don't know why all of these are here, so I'm just going to got a lot of extra stuff. I'm going to delete that. That's a mistake. It shouldn't be there. And so here we are. I'm going to go over to one of the columns off to the right side and do all this work over there on this sheet. You could do it on a separate sheet, like create a new sheet down here if you want, but I don't think that's necessary. We can do all the work here. First, I need to get a list of all of the genres. Here you can see it says calculate the probability of each genre. So I need to start out by making a list of all the genres. I could easily type here and go through and look at this data and go through this list and say, oh, documentary, type documentary. Another one's comedy, type comedy, then drama, type drama. But as my database gets larger, that is going to take a lot of time. There is a shortcut, however, and let me show you that now. So I can pull out all the unique values from a column using the unique function. So in the box where I want this to start, I'll type equals and then type unique, or there we go, the word unique. And then just the column that I want. So G colon G. Basically, this is going to list all the separate unique values from column G. If I hit enter, boom, you can see there is my list. There's a problem, however. You can see there's a space there. That means that one of the cells, at least one or more of the cells in that column, are blanks. I don't want blanks in this. It's just going to throw it off. It's going to make it look weird. It's going to be annoying. So instead, I have to update this formula here so that it does not include blank cells. Okay. So to do that, it's pretty easy. Inside the unique function, I'm going to filter. So I'm going to type filter with the open parenthesis. I'm going to filter on column G, comma, but I want to filter out any blanks. To do that, I'm going to say G colon G less than and greater than. That means like contains. So if any cell in column G contains, and then do a quote, and then another quote, meaning blank. So if any cell in column G contains a blank, filter it out and look through all of column G. Make sure to have two sets of parentheses, one for the filter function, one for the unique function. Hit enter, and there we go. And notice down here that blank cell disappeared. Good to go. Okay, now we have all of the list of all of the genres that are represented in this database. Now we need to count how many of each are there. Okay, this will be a little time consuming, so I'm going to try to go as fast as I can. I apologize if it takes a little too long. But here I'll type in the count, the header. And so we want to count how many documentary movies there are in this list. We're going to use the count if function. Again, equals count if. We're going to say from column the top and to the bottom of column G, comma, and then quote documentary, close parenthesis. So count if in column G you see the word documentary. Boom. 20. You see it says the autofill, but that's not exactly what I want. So I'm going to reject that. I want this, but now what I have to do is repeat this process, but in the quotations, I'm going to put, for the next one, comedy, for the next one after that, drama, etc. So I'm going to copy this. I don't know if this is the most efficient way to do it, but either way, it's a little tedious. So there we go. But instead of, let's undo that. So paste it there, but instead of comedy, I'm going to copy and replace it with, or should I have documentary, replace it with comedy. I think it's easier just to count or type it. Count if G colon G quote drama with parenthesis equals count if G colon G comma quote fantasy equals count if G colon G comma horror. You can see it's going to take me a little bit, so bear with me. You could fast forward ahead here after you're done with this, but you're going to do this for every column. G colon G comma romance. If anyone has a idea for a quicker way to do something like this, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it. Save everyone some time, including myself and my students. Yes, I could fill down and then just fix the name. We try that. Only a few more. Let's try it. So if I fill down, there we go. That's not bad because then I could just change this part right here. Sci-fi, action, animation, and I just double click enter. If I hit enter, it opens up this editor tab, so I can use just my keyboard rather than having to use my mouse. It's a little easier. Here we go. Last, I want to make a total row for a total where I'm going to sum up each column. So then this is going to equal the sum of all of these counts, and that would give me the total number of movies in my playlist, 386 in mine. Okay, let's continue. So now we have the counts. Next, we want to calculate the probability. What's the probability that a randomly selected movie from this playlist is a documentary? Well, it's a simple calculation. The number of them divided by the total. How many are there divided by the total? And you can see that is what I'm actually trying to do. Calculate the probability of each genre in your data, also called the theoretical probability. Then create a total row that sums these up, which we've already started. Okay, so this is theoretical probability. Let me do that. Okay, so this is going to equal the count divided by the total. Notice I'm using cell references here. That's really important because if you just type the numbers in, it's not going to update itself. Like if you go back later and clean more data and delete some of the rows, delete some of the movies off the database, then um, it's not going to update automatically. And so you're going to have to go update each one of these cells too. That's super annoying. Okay, so make sure to use cell references here. If I hit enter, that is good. Actually, I can do a trick here. I want these to update to the proper, like if I scroll down or I fill this in, I want them to update to each individual cell. But the total column down here, I want to stay locked in. I want it to stay as 386 and not update automatically. To do that, you use dollar signs. The dollar signs lock it in. Dollar signs J, dollar sign 20. Notice it doesn't change my calculation, but what it does is if I go right here and drag down, boom. It if I look at like I don't know this formula right here, notice it updated the count, but it kept the total the same. That's important because the total's not changing, but the count of each genre is. Cool. There we go. And notice it sums up to 100%. That's what it should be. That means we're doing it right. I am going to just do some cleaning up so it looks a little nicer here. And there we go. All right. Next, what do we have to do? It says create a new playlist of 20 random movies using a random number generator. All right, let's do that. So let's do it right here. Here will be our random number. Put it right down below. Let me put a box around it just so we know. Let's make it look my favorite, purple and thick line. And there we go. Spread that out. Okay. So this is my random number generator. We are going to do equals rand. So we're going to do rand between. So we're going to pick a random number between our lowest row, which is 2. It's not 1 because in row 1 is our header, right? And then comma, and then our highest row, meaning our last row in our data. So let's scroll down. And the last row is 388. Again, I'm not looking at the index, I'm looking at the row number, 388. So between row 2 and row 388, that's what I'm looking for. Let's go back, 2, comma, 388. Close parenthesis, hit enter. In this cell, it will automatically or randomly select a number between 2 and 344. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that random number, and that's the row, the movie in that row is the movie that we're going to select. Okay, so sorry, I'm dragging my face all around, but gotta use the screen as best as possible. So the problem here is that anytime I do any changes, like if I go, okay, look at this, enter, notice that the random number changed, 133. And then if I delete that, enter, 342. Anytime I hit enter, I commit a change, it's going to update the random number. So I can't just create a list of 20 random numbers because if I did that, they would constantly update as I make changes. So instead, I'm going to use this random number as the generator, but I'm going to go over here and just type that number. So watch what I do. 342, hit enter. The 342 above is locked in. This one is not going to regenerate, but this random number did regenerate, and I can type that in right here. 278, enter, 134, enter, 56, 140, and I'm going to do that 20 times. One for each new movie I want to generate. 9, 255, 341, 33, 386, 46. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This is 17. 109, 18, 19, 20. Cool. So now, let me zoom out a tad bit so you can see. Now I have 20 random numbers, and those represent rows that I want to pull movies from. Okay, awesome. Now let's actually put the movie titles next to it. The trick there is to use the indirect function. So you're going to say equals indirect. We're going to start out with what column we want to put. Like, we're basically pulling a cell from somewhere else on the sheet. And so since we want the movie titles right here are in column B. So indirect, we're going to do quote B, comma, and then the next one is going to be the cell that contains the number, which in this first one is J24. J24, close parentheses, hit enter. Uh-oh, there's an error. What does it say? Indirect, parameter 1 is B. It's not a round. Oh, we didn't do the right thing. This should be a plus sign. Enter. No. All right, let's double check. B plus 24. All right. So I just had to take a quick look, and it's not plus, it's and. Come on, Mr. Albert. B and 84. There we go. There's the movie title there. So I should be able to just drag this down. You see it says B and 25, B is J26, J27, J28, and there we go. There's a list of all of my songs. In the next column over, I want to put a list of all the genres. So here, we're going to do the same thing. Actually, I can just click here and drag this over. And we don't need B anymore, right? Instead, we need G. G is the column that has my genres in it. So if I hit enter, oh, no, Control Z. What am I doing? There we go. Over this one and G, and then it's still using the same reference. We still want this cell right here. So it updated to K24, but we still want it to be J24. J24. Hit enter. So the Patriot movie is a drama movie, and I can fill down again, and there we go. There's a list of all of my um, 20 movies that I randomly selected from my playlist, for my master list with all of their genres attached. There we go. Create a new playlist of 20 random movies using a random number generator. Cool. Next, we need to calculate the probability of each genre in the playlist, which is the experimental probability, because this is the experiment. So we want to do the same thing we did here, theoretical, but we want to do experimental. Okay, I'm going to do it next to that. So experimental probability. Let me make that look good. Bold. Underline. Oh, it looks good, but we'll do black. There we go. So experimental probability is just that, right? It's the probability that a genre shows up in my experiment, which is this list here. Okay, so we can actually use this same calculation for count. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put it right here, except instead of from G to G, we're going to do this one, which is from, if I click in there, I can drag from here to here, L24 to L44. So if a documentary occurs in there, count it. Hit enter, and there's 3 of them, right? And so I can actually copy all of these. Click here, paste it. There we go. But I just need to update now these, the cell reference. So this right here. Okay, again, now's a good time to fast forward or pause and do it yourself, and then come back and see what we have. All right. So I updated that over on. I paused the video and updated it for you or for myself, and so you can see here is my updated probabilities or updated values. But you can see that's just the count. I have a problem here. That's not the probability. That's how many of each ones there are. The probability is the count divided by the total. So I can go in here and easily just click here, and divide by the total number of songs in my playlist, which was 20, and now I have the probability, right? It's pretty simple. Divide by 20. Go here, divide by 20, click, divide by 20. So you can go through and divide each by the total number. The count divided by the total will give you the percentage probability as a decimal. I'm going to try to go fast. Oh, that's not right. That should be divided by. Here we go. And there we go. So again, I can just put divided by 20. I don't have to divide by the total here because um, the total number of songs in my playlist is always going to be 20. It's not something that's going to change. I'm not going to delete songs from it or anything like that. So we are good to go there. There is my experimental probability. And you can see here, also create a total row that sums up the probabilities, should be equal to 1. And you can see the cell I have highlighted there is there highlighted. It's 1. Okay. Last but not least, find the difference between the probabilities and create a total row that sums up the differences, and it should be equal to 0. Okay. So let me move this off to the side. And that's all we want. Difference. Find the difference. And that is all you have to do. Difference between theoretical and experimental. The difference between what I would expect and what actually happens. So this equals theoretical minus experimental. The difference, simple subtraction. Hit enter. Let's fill all. We got the differences here. We should equal the sum of these rows or these cells. Hit enter and it equals 0, just as we expected. Create a total row that sums up to differences. This should equal 0. We did everything, you guys. What a great job. That is awesome. Let's kind of clean this up. Not much more to do, but I'll make that small. There we go. So we took our data, we created a subset of 20 songs randomly selected, and then we calculated the probabilities of those songs. In statistics, we call the main data set our population. We call the song shuffle a random sample. And then we are comparing here, is there a significant difference between what we would expect to happen, the theoretical probability, and then what actually happens, which is the experimental probability. Okay. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. If you noticed anything that looked weird, please let me know in the comments as well. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.